Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 2020. This is the last question mark, My Team Career, episode number 3. As we head into Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix, another first. There was 2 new tracks on the calendar this year, and they come up in weeks 3 and 5. I have not done a lap on it yet. I've seen plenty of aerial drone footage of the construction, and I've seen a few laps when the track first opened, and of course I've seen Max Verstappen take out a Red Bull from a few years ago out on course, and then I've seen Areva take his laps around there, but otherwise I have not driven the track myself, so it's going to be a first, and that's going to create a challenge, especially with the undulation and the camber that you're going to experience out there. I think that's going to take a little getting used to. We survived Vietnam, but we only finished 1 spot above last. We finished 21st. Let's see if we can do better for the Dutch Grand Prix. But one quick note, while we had a few upgrades to the car so far, we're not really going in the right direction. If you look at the performance across the board, everybody has been improving this season, and in reality the only teams we've actually gained on are Red Bull, who's way out front anyway, and Renault is a bit closer than where we were at the start of the season. And in fact, despite our rapid improvement with 3 new parts through 4 races, Haas has actually just inched ahead of us. So we've got a long ways to go, and we're back to the second weakest car on the grid, though we're very much in a midfield battle where we're almost there with a lot of the other teams. And with that AI being set a little bit lower, at least on tracks that I drive well and tracks that are power heavy, not Zandvoort, we can compete a bit better, like last weekend in China where we got 12th place. So certainly capable of moving up the grid and making some passes. I think this is going to be a difficult race weekend, especially the newness of the track. But let's go ahead and get to it.
It was 35 years ago that the late great Niki Lauda took his 25th and final Grand Prix win here at Zandvoort. He came from 10th on the grid to beat his McLaren teammate Alain Prost by just 0.2 of a second. Well, Zandvoort is a very different circuit today, of course, but still one with an incredible legacy. And we're going to add to that. Welcome along to the 2020 Dutch Grand Prix. A lap of this short 2.6 mile Zandvoort circuit features 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left. The main straight is 678 metres long and heads into turn 1, the Tarzan corner. With DRS down the main straight into the braking zone, that could be the best overtaking opportunity on the track. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Vettel, Charles Leclerc and Albon, Perez, Ricciardo, Sainz and Lando Norris, Gasly, Kvyat, Lance Stroll and Ocon, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen and George Russell, Delatraz, Latifi, the Professor and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Gorgeous weather here on the Dutch coast. I'm not actually starting from last place in this one. Kimi Raikkonen has enough penalties to send him all the way to the back of the grid. That gets me outside. It's a good place to be for turn 1, but again, total unknown going into this one, blind other than I've seen it, but not enough to really know this track. But I know that there's so much undulation and banking to it. Should be interesting. difficult track to overtake on, though. Really difficult track. So let's see if we can get the job done at all. If we can finish above last or at least a few spots up. We'll see. Dutch Grand Prix, first one. Let's get to it. Oh, excellent start. Shoot to the outside. Oh, a little too early on the braking, and that's why I was early on the braking, and then I ended up taking a little damage.
Be careful with the front wing.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. Running P19 here,
Keep it up.
and that's good. And with the whole difficult to overtake thing, so far we're safe. And we get to the inside here through that chicane, and we're up to P18. That was more survival than anything.
Strategy is
Got a little too hard on the gas coming out of that. We want to get forward enough to have the overtake. Okay, and we go from here. Woo. That was my fault. Lost the rear end. And actually, wow, they gave me the warning. So I was in front, but we came together. But because I lost the rear end, the game actually had the know-how to give me the warning and not Raikkonen, which, by the way, that's Raikkonen who started in last place.
okay. Battery's looking good. You can use overtake to get back.
And that's Raikkonen behind me. Ah, come on. Wow, that comes up fast. There's that track unknown. Get on the gas to go forward, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're into that next one, just like that. Rear end stepping out on me again.
Okay, take it easy on the car. We can't sustain this level of damage.
So much for people knowing their breaking point there now. Got a good run here. I have no idea how long this straight is, but it's long enough. Oh, it's almost long enough. Do I have to give it back, though? Do I have to give it back is the big question. Looks like no. No warning. I had already made the overtake before the second part of the chicane. Returned to the track. Definitely pulled a Sebastian Vettel. Got away with one there.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
So, we're up to P16. This is much better than the other first-time race. DRS is in good shape, fuel's in good shape. It's already lap 3. It's a quick circuit. It's a lot of short straights, quick turns, and a skinny track, so it's really hard to overtake. But all that turning helps with that potential overtake. Ah, my bad. I'm way too late on that braking zone, which is how I've had 3 overtakes. But it's also creating a bit of an issue when it comes to setting myself up. Ah, oops. Sad thing is I barely tapped him, but apparently he had enough momentum going the wrong direction that it sent him around. Turns into a position, but it also turns into damage for me. It's 15th position though. Earned the bad way.
Under pressure, he might make a mistake. The gap is only 2 seconds.
Giovinazzi, probably to me, the driver who least belongs on the grid right now, even more than Lance Stroll. But I can't say much about Lance Stroll. He's in a similar role to me. Bought his way onto the circuit. In his case, it's daddy. In my case, I'm technically team owner. But he's improved. He's really improved the last couple of years. Comes that pressure from behind as I struggle to find the limits of the track.
This is your final lap of the race.
We're down to lean mix. This could be a problem.
Okay, the car behind is catching you by 5/10 a lap. 5/10.
Okay, back to standard. At least we got that. Ooh! We went for a move. We're able to accelerate well enough out of there to keep him at bay for now, but still had ERS active through all of that apparently. Oh, we're good, we're good. Oh, running out of fuel right before the line, but we got it.
Okay,
P15.
pick up rubber and bring it home.
P15. Just before the line we run out of fuel. But yeah, P15. Hey, I'm happy with that. That's actually a really good result from 21st up to P15 on a track that I don't know. Didn't have to use too many flashbacks. Mostly it was the overshooting 2 braking zones that I did a couple of times there. But an excellent result for first time on the track.
Anthony Davidson, how do you think?
Alright, so we take our first look at the Drivers and Constructors Championship standings at this point in the season. Winning the race today, Bottas moves ahead of Hamilton. Hamilton did not have a good race. He is 11 points behind. Verstappen, who finished second in this race, is solidly in 3rd place. Vettel and Leclerc are even at 57 points. Albon at 42, and then a big drop to everybody else. Ricciardo with 22, Sainz with 20, and then Norris, Ocon, Perez, and Kvyat, the only other ones to have scored. That is, I think, not terribly representative of where the teams are at. Racing Point, Stroll should definitely have some points. Gasly, AlphaTauri should have some points, but only just. They're kind of on the edge of that top 10. Alfa Romeo, Haas, Williams, and us not having points, that doesn't surprise me. So I suppose it's not bad that Racing Point and AlphaTauri are where they are, but you would definitely think Racing Point would be a bit more competitive. They look like they could battle for 3rd place in the Constructors in real life this year. I don't think they'll necessarily win it, but I think they could be in that conversation for 5th, 6th fairly often this season. Ferrari is way off the pace and not as strong, even after the game did a day 1 patch, bringing Ferrari down quite a bit from best down to third best. I don't think they're third best. I think they're maybe fourth or fifth best right now. I do think it's going to be a really tight battle for third with Ferrari, McLaren, and Racing Point. And I think Renault is going to be close enough to those three that they'll often mix it up with them, and that we could see Renault with fifth places this season. I think Mercedes and Red Bull are going to be a pretty clear top two this season. I think Albon, we could see Albon finish really close to, if not ahead of Vettel this season. I think Leclerc is going to be a bit further ahead of Vettel. But I do think that car is strong enough that Albon should finish potentially ahead of both Ferraris, if not one. And I would think Vettel's going to be a little bit lower because his race pace isn't as good as it used to be, and his racecraft is not good. Really isn't. Especially these days. These last couple years, he makes a lot of boneheaded decisions when it comes to attempts on overtakes. And since the car is going to be backed up into the midfield a lot more, I think we're going to see what we saw in that first race weekend quite a few times this season. We're going to see him come together with cars, spin around, and go to the back of the grid. And when he comes together with other cars, we've seen it in the past, he is the one who often goes around and goes backwards. Or he takes both cars out of the race, like he did with Leclerc in Brazil, where he just cut across and took them both out.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya then, a high-speed 2.89-mile circuit which demands an efficient downforce package and bravery on the part of the driver, especially through the blind right of turn 9, which we might just see taken flat this weekend. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Croc.
Let's run you through the driver...
So it's time for the race that just won't go away. We're in Spain. Let's go racing. Raikkonen again with grid penalties. Ah, come on. Up to P17, but damage on the wing.
Replacing if it takes too much damage.
Definite setback. Tuck back in. Luckily, space was still there.
Keep pushing. Let's capitalize on that first lap.
Might lose a spot here. Oh, it's my teammate, Delatraz. He gets to the inside as I had to go outside to avoid Grosjean. And I'm going to have to concede that spot. Oh, he's slow and he's going to cost me another position. Come on, Delatraz. Boy, you can see how bad our aero package is, as he is just horribly slow.
Strategy option.
I must have taken more damage to the wing, as they're asking me to pit. Might be hard to get much more here. Going backwards, really bad aero for a track like this that definitely requires. Can probably hang on to this position. Or not. I'm struggling for grip and it's already bad.
Battery charge is high. Let's use that overtake button more.
Added a sausage curb there. I don't remember that being there.
DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Defend there against Giovinazzi. I'm going to have a real tough time, I think, going forward, hanging on to a position. I'm not going forward anymore. This damage to the wing with an already weak aero package is definitely too much. I can pretty much keep pace, but only pretty much. Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo is definitely faster. Couldn't push any harder on the gas pedal, trying to put my foot through the floor there, because I can't go all the way through the curve with pedal down. Good half of that turn was only at 70% gas, so really feeling the effects of our aero and that lack of wing. Caught up to Delatraz, but so has everyone else. I didn't put distance between them and me. DRS!
This is
hooray!
your final lap of the race.
It was a 1:24.9. 45th lap. Looks like we're just going to be battling it out to keep position and maybe Delatraz, but it's over 4 seconds to Grosjean in 16th. Enough spare fuel to get us through the rest of the lap, that's good. Plenty of ERS as well, so we'll be using that. here shortly. Okay, there it goes. And we got DRS. That'll be enough to defend. Got a good run. Is it enough? Oh, not quite. Not quite. We would have had him before the end of the straight, though.
Take care of the car on the way.
Well, we would have been able to get that one more. We get 18th. I don't beat my teammate. That's the first time I haven't beat my teammate.
Another Spanish Grand Prix is over.
And that was definitely one of his
special race it was.
best races.
Tell me,
Christian
how
Horner
did they manage to achieve this?
celebrating Max
I really thought the
Verstappen's
track
win.
layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well.
Arava
So
working for
comfortable
Red
out
Bull.
there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Lando Norris finished 9th for
Drivers are en
McLaren.
route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team.
Mercedes
They performed
2-3.
exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the Professor. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern-day Formula One.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Our championship
So we beat the
leaders
two
retain their
Williams and the
position,
two
but their
Alphas,
lead
but
is
we
shrinking.
can't beat
Well, that was
anyone
certainly
else.
an
Haas is
incredible
still too
weekend of
fast.
racing.
AlphaTauri is
Be
still
sure
too
to join
fast.
myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
And you can see I'm still a little over half a second better than Delatraz, even with a damaged wing. It probably would have been more like a second faster if I didn't have the damaged wing. I was losing at least a good half a second, maybe even a second a lap, fighting with the downforce. So, again, I think AI is set right where I want it. It's good enough that I can beat cars. It's good enough that I can make my way through the field a bit. But it's also tough enough that it's going to be heavily dependent on how developed the car is, on how far I can actually make it through the grid. Delatraz is a little higher up than he was. And he beat me for the first time. Of course, that counterbalance, right, was that I damaged my wing. So I've got to make sure I keep that in check a little bit better in future races. I had a good start, but that damage ruined my race on what could have maybe been, well, you know what, this wouldn't have been my first top 10. There's just not enough, it's not enough power hungry. I might have been battling for 13th, 14th with Kvyat and Magnussen, and that would have been about it. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.